The massive chamber of the Galactic Council stretched wider than most cities on Earth. Its walls curved upward like the inside of an egg, covered in lights that looked like stars. Today, every seat was full. Representatives from 300 different alien races had come to watch humanity's response to the ultimatum. Ambassador Zekthai stood at the center platform. His forearms moved as he spoke, making his purple robes flow like water. The Vorthak Empire's leader was twice as tall as a human, with scales that changed color based on his mood. Right now they were bright orange, the color of amusement. 30 cycles ago we gave the humans our terms, Zekthai said. His voice boomed through the chamber without need for amplification. Surrender Earth and join the Empire as servants or face the combined might of our fleet. Today their time runs out. The assembled aliens made various sounds of agreement. Some clicked their mandibles. Others hummed through breathing tubes. A few stamped their multiple legs on the floor. They all knew what would happen next. The humans would arrive with whatever ships they could gather, see the 10,000 warships waiting for them, and surrender. It had happened before with other young races. Lord Zekthai called out a smaller alien from the observation deck. This was Navigator Prill of the Nexus Collective, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence. Our sensors detect a human vessel approaching. Just one? Zekthai's scales shifted to yellow, showing confusion. Yes, Lord, one ship. It appears to be... Prill paused, checking her instruments again. It appears to be a cargo hauler. Modified, but still basically a transport vessel. Laughter filled the chamber. Real laughter, not the polite kind. The Corvani delegation were slapping their tentacles against their seats. The crystalline shard unity made sounds like wind chimes in a storm. Even the usually serious voidwalkers were shaking their helmeted heads. One cargo ship, Admiral Thex of the Warrior caste, stood up. Did they misunderstand the message? We told them to bring their entire fleet. Perhaps they are surrendering, suggested another voice. One ship to deliver their surrender documents. Zekthai raised one of his arms for silence. Let them approach. This should be entertaining. The human ship moved slowly through space, passing the first line of alien vessels. It was not impressive to look at. The UNES Persistence was shaped like a rectangular box with engines attached, painted gray with Earth's blue and green symbol on the side. Compared to the sleek Vorthak destroyers or the organic curves of the Collective's bioships, it looked like something a child might build with blocks. They're requesting permission to address the assembly, Navigator Prill announced. Granted, Zekthai said, his scales now bright orange again. I want to hear what excuse they offer for this insult. The main viewing screen flickered to life. A human woman appeared wearing a simple blue uniform. She had black hair tied back in a tight bun, and dark eyes that seemed very calm for someone facing 10,000 warships. The nameplate on her uniform read, Captain S. Chen. Members of the Galactic Council, Captain Chen said. She spoke clearly without any sign of fear. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Nations ship Persistence. I've come to respond to your ultimatum. One ship? Zekthai interrupted. You bring one cargo hauler against the greatest fleet in the galaxy? Are you surrendering or are you simply stupid? Captain Chen smiled slightly. Neither, Ambassador. We brought exactly what we needed. The laughter started again, louder this time. Some of the aliens were actually pointing at the screen. Others were already turning away, thinking the show was over. Please, Captain, Zekthai said, his voice dripping with mock politeness. Tell us how your single cargo ship will defeat 10,000 warships. We could use the entertainment before we destroy you. We won't defeat anything, Chen said simply. Violence is not our first choice. But you demanded a show of force, so we'll provide one. She turned to someone off screen. Lieutenant Martinez, begin deployment. On the sensors, something strange began to happen. The cargo ship's bay doors opened and objects started floating out. Small objects, thousands of them, each no bigger than a ground car. They spread out in all directions, moving slowly and deliberately. What are those? Demanded Admiral Thex. Bombs? Missiles? Navigator Prill was working frantically at her station. No, Admiral. They appear to be mining drones? Simple automated mining drones. The laughter reached its peak. Several aliens were now openly mocking the humans. Someone shouted that perhaps Earth planned to mine their way to victory. Another suggested the humans had gone insane from fear. Mining drones? Zekthai could barely speak through his amusement. You brought mining equipment to a battle? Captain Chen remained calm on the screen. Ambassador, may I ask you a question? Do you know what humans call our home? Earth, Zekthai replied, confused by the change of topic. Yes, but we also call it something else. We call it the blue marble. Do you know why? I fail to see how this matters. From space, our world looks like a small blue marble floating in the dark, Chen continued. Just one tiny ball in an infinite universe. When we first saw that image, some humans felt despair at how small we were, but others saw something different. They saw how one small thing, in the right place at the right time, could change everything. The mining drones continued to spread out. There were now tens of thousands of them, forming an expanding sphere around the Persistence. They weren't moving toward any of the alien ships. Instead, they seemed to be heading for the asteroid field at the edge of the system. Captain Chen, Zekthai said, his patience wearing thin. If this is all you have to offer, then I'm afraid— Ambassador, Chen interrupted. Have you ever heard of exponential growth? Before Zekthai could answer, the first mining drones reached the asteroids. They immediately began to work, their laser cutters carving into the rock. But they weren't collecting ore. They were building something. What are they doing? Asked someone from the council. Navigator Prill's 6 eyes went wide. All of them. They're reproducing. The drones are building more drones. A hush fell over the chamber. On the screens, they could see it happening. Each mining drone was taking raw materials from the asteroids and constructing exact copies of itself. Where there had been 1 drone, now there were 2. Then 4, then 8. Impossible, Admiral Thek said. Self-replicating machines are banned by galactic law. The Grey Goo Protocol. The Grey Goo Protocol was signed by council members, Captain Chen said calmly. Earth is not a member. You made that very clear when you demanded our surrender. Zekthai's scales were shifting through multiple colors now, orange to yellow to a deep purple that indicated growing concern. Stop them. Stop them now. I'm afraid I can't do that, Ambassador, Chen said. Once the process starts, it has to run its course. But don't worry. This is just a demonstration. The drones are programmed to stop after a certain point. On the screens, the number of drones was growing faster than the computers could count. Hundreds became thousands. Thousands became tens of thousands. The asteroids were visibly shrinking as more and more material was converted into new drones. You're insane, Zekthai said. You'll destroy everything. No, Captain Chen said quietly. We'll survive. Humans are very good at surviving. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived nuclear weapons. And if necessary, we'll survive this too. The implications were beginning to sink in across the chamber. If the humans could deploy these drones, if they could really create self-replicating machines, then no fleet, no matter how large, could stop them. The drones would simply consume any ship sent against them and use the materials to make more drones. This has to be a trick, Admiral Thek said. No race could be foolish enough to create such weapons. Captain Chen's expression remained calm. Admiral, you threatened to destroy our world. You demanded our surrender. You gave us 30 cycles to prepare our response. Did you really think we would spend that time building regular warships? The chamber was silent now except for the hum of computers tracking the exponentially growing drone swarm. In less than an hour, there were millions of them. The asteroid field was half gone. Captain, Zekthai said slowly, surely you understand what you've done? These machines, they could consume entire systems. Yes, Chen agreed. They could. Then why? The ambassador's scales were now completely black, the color of dread. Why would you create such things? Captain Chen looked directly at the camera. Because sometimes, Ambassador, one ship is all you need. If it's carrying the right cargo. The Galactic Council chamber had never been this quiet. 300 different species, each with their own way of breathing, moving, and existing, all frozen in silence. They watched the screens as the mining drones continued their work. The asteroid field that had existed at the edge of the system for millions of years was disappearing before their eyes. Captain Chen remained on the main screen, still calm, still composed. Behind her, the bridge of the Persistence looked almost boring. Just humans sitting at regular stations, tapping at regular computers. No panic, no celebration, just quiet efficiency. Navigator Prill, Zekthai said slowly. How many drones are there now? Prill's 6 eyes blinked rapidly as she worked her instruments. Approximately 4 million, Lord. No, wait. 5 million. The number is increasing too fast to track accurately. Fire on them, Admiral Thek commanded. All ships target the drone swarm. Belay that order, Zekthai said quickly. You fool, they're converting matter to create more drones. If we destroy them, we're just giving them more materials to work with. The Admiral's forearms dropped to his sides. For the first time in his military career, he didn't know what to do. Captain Chen spoke again. Ambassador Zekthai, you seem concerned. Perhaps I should explain what you're looking at. Please do, Zekthai managed to say. On Earth, we have a legend about a man who asked for a simple payment. 1 grain of rice on the first square of a chessboard, 2 on the second, 4 on the third, and so on. The king thought it was a trivial request. He didn't understand exponential growth. Chen gestured to someone off-screen. A diagram appeared next to her image, showing the drone reproduction rate. Each drone can build 2 copies of itself in approximately 6 minutes using raw materials, she explained. Those 2 can each build 2 more. In 1 hour, 1 drone becomes over 1,000. In 2 hours, over 1,000,000. In 24 hours, she paused. Well, in 24 hours, there would be more drones than atoms in your warships. A representative from the Crystal Harmony stood up, its transparent body flickering with distress. This is madness. You would destroy everything. No, Chen said simply. We would survive. That's what these drones are, Ambassador. They're survival. She touched something on her console and a new image appeared. It showed the technical specifications of the drones. Even simplified for the presentation, the design was elegant in its simplicity. Each drone contained several things, Chen explained. First, the complete genetic template of Earth's biosphere. Everything from bacteria to blue whales encoded in synthetic DNA. Second, the sum total of human knowledge, our history, our culture, our art, everything that makes us who we are. Third, instructions for terraforming planets and rebuilding human civilization from scratch. The implications hit the assembly like a physical blow. These weren't just weapons. They were seeds. You're insane, whispered someone from the back. Are we? Chen asked. You threaten to destroy our world. Every species in this council has weapons that can turn planets to glass. You've used them before. We've seen the dead worlds, the places where entire civilizations once lived. So we asked ourselves a simple question. How do you defeat someone who can destroy your planet? She paused, letting the question hang in the air. The answer is simple. You make sure that destroying your planet doesn't mean destroying your people. On the screen, something new was happening. The drones had stopped just consuming asteroids. They were building something else now. Structures were taking shape in space, assembled from the raw materials they had gathered. What are they making? Zekthai demanded. Ships, Chen replied. Human ships. Each one fully automated, armed, and capable of faster-than-light travel. The structures were indeed becoming recognizable as vessels. Not pretty ones, not elegant ones, but functional. Within an hour of starting, the drones had built 10 complete warships. Then 20. Then 50. This is impossible, Admiral Thex said. The energy requirements alone, when we solved that problem years ago, Chen interrupted. Each drone has a microfusion reactor. Very efficient. We learned a lot from studying your technology, actually. The Vorthak energy systems you use in your fighters, we improved on them. Zekthai's scales were cycling through colors so fast they seemed to shimmer. You studied our technology? Of course. You've been sending threats for 5 years. Did you think we were just sitting around hoping you'd change your minds? Every probe you sent to scan Earth, every diplomatic vessel that came to deliver ultimatums, we learned from them. Your shields, your weapons, your drives. We took it all apart, understood it, and made it better. A new voice spoke up. It was the Ancient One, the oldest member of the Council, a being that looked like a tree made of crystal and light. Captain Chen, what exactly do you want from us? Chen smiled slightly. Nothing. That's what you don't understand. We don't want your territory. We don't want your resources. We don't want to rule over you. We just want to be left alone. But the drones, Zekthai started. We'll stop soon, Chen assured him. This is just a demonstration. The real swarm is different. The chamber erupted in confusion. Multiple voices speaking at once, all demanding to know what she meant by the real swarm. Chen waited for quiet. Did you really think we would wait until today to deploy our defense? The Persistence left Earth 2 years ago, but we sent out other packages. Small ones, each containing a single dormant drone. They've been traveling through hyperspace, spreading across the galaxy. She brought up a star map. Red dots appeared across it. Hundreds of them, thousands. They're already in position, Chen said quietly, in empty space between stars, in dark nebulae, in places you'd never think to look, all dormant. All waiting. Waiting for what? Zekthai asked, though he suspected he already knew. For Earth to die, Chen said simply. If our planet is destroyed, if human civilization falls, they activate. All of them, simultaneously. The star map changed. The red dots began to pulse, and spreading circles showed the projected growth pattern. Within weeks, the entire galaxy would be covered. You're holding the galaxy hostage, Admiral Thex accused. No, Chen corrected. We're ensuring our survival. There's a difference. The drones will never activate unless humanity is destroyed. They're not programmed to attack. They're programmed to rebuild, to find empty worlds and make them suitable for human life, to recreate our species from the genetic templates they carry. And if those worlds aren't empty? Someone asked. The drones are programmed to avoid inhabited systems, Chen explained. They'll only terraform dead worlds. We're not conquerors, Ambassador. We never were. We just want to exist. On the screens, the demonstration continued. The newly built human ships were now building more drones, which were building more ships. It was a cascade of creation, turning dead rock into a growing fleet. How do we know you're telling the truth? Zekthai demanded. How do we know these drones won't activate anyway? Chen's expression hardened for the first time. Because we're not you, Ambassador. We don't destroy worlds for resources. We don't enslave species because we can. We've had nuclear weapons for over 2 centuries, and we've only used them twice on ourselves, and we still consider it one of our greatest shames. She leaned forward slightly, but make no mistake. If you force us to, we will survive. We will spread across this galaxy like seeds on the wind. Every dead world will become a new Earth. Every empty system will host human life. You can kill us, but you can't stop us. Not anymore. The demonstration swarm had now converted nearly all the asteroids in the field. There were billions of drones and hundreds of newly constructed ships. The entire process had taken less than 3 hours. Captain, the Ancient One spoke again. If what you say is true, then humanity has created the ultimate deterrent. But deterrents only work if both sides are rational. What happens if someone attacks Earth anyway? Chen was quiet for a moment. Then humanity becomes something else. We become the storm that remakes the galaxy. We become unstoppable not because we want to be, but because you left us no choice. She looked directly at Zekthai. You asked why we only sent 1 ship. The answer is simple. 1 ship is all we needed to show you the truth. We don't need fleets. We don't need armies. We just need time and raw materials, and space has plenty of both. The demonstration drones suddenly stopped. All of them. Billions of machines hanging motionless in space. The demonstration is complete, Chen announced. In exactly 1 hour, these drones will disassemble themselves and return the materials to space. The ships they built will self-destruct. Everything will go back to how it was except for one thing. What? Zekthai asked. You'll know what we're capable of. You'll know that threatening Earth means threatening the entire galaxy, and hopefully you'll be smart enough to leave us alone. The captain stood up from her chair. The United Nations of Earth formally rejects your ultimatum. We will not surrender. We will not serve. We will remain free, or we will become something you can't stop. The choice is yours. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in darkness except for the light from billions of waiting drones. Admiral Thex had commanded fleets for 300 years. He had fought in 17 major wars, destroyed 43 enemy vessels and never lost a battle. But now, watching billions of human drones hanging in space like a metal cloud, he felt something he hadn't experienced since he was a young soldier. He felt fear. We have to destroy them, he said, his voice carrying across the silent council chamber. Now while they're still, before they start moving again. And give them more materials to work with. Zekthai turned on him, scales flashing angry red. Did you not understand what the humans said? They convert matter. Our weapons, our ships, even our bodies would just become more drones. The Vorthok fleet hung in space, 10,000 strong, the greatest military force ever assembled. Yet every commander was looking at their weapons with new eyes, seeing them not as tools of destruction but as potential food for the swarm. Navigator Prill was still at her station, her 6 eyes fixed on different screens. Lord Zekthai, I'm detecting something. The drones aren't completely still. They're communicating. Communicating. Yes, they're sending signals to each other. Billions of signals. It's like... She paused, trying to find the right words. It's like they're thinking together. A collective shudder ran through the assembly. The idea of billions of machines thinking as one was terrifying enough. But knowing those machines could reproduce endlessly made it worse. The Ancient One moved forward, its crystalline form catching the light from the displays. We must think carefully about our next move. The humans have shown us something unprecedented. They've shown us an abomination, shouted the representative from the Pure World Alliance. Self-replicating machines are forbidden for a reason. They could consume everything. And yet, the Ancient One said calmly, they haven't. The human was precise. These machines only activate if Earth is destroyed. They're not a weapon of conquest. They're a guarantee of survival. On the main screen, the Persistence still floated among its billions of children. The cargo ship looked even smaller now, dwarfed by the fleet it had birthed. But somehow that made it more frightening, not less. One small ship had created all this in 3 hours. Navigator Prill, Zekthai commanded. Scan the swarm. I want to know everything about these drones. Prill worked frantically at her station. Data flowed across her screens faster than most beings could read, but her 6 eyes tracked it all. They're remarkable, Lord. Each drone is only 3 meters across, but the technology inside, they have microfusion reactors, molecular assemblers, quantum processors, and something else. Something I don't recognize. What do you mean? There's a component in each drone that doesn't match any known technology. It seems to be some kind of storage device, but the data density is impossible. Each drone contains... Lord, this can't be right. What? What does it contain? Prill's eyes all blinked in unison, a sign of extreme shock. Everything. Each drone contains the complete genetic sequence of every life form on Earth. Millions of species, plus their entire cultural database. Books, music, art, history, languages, even personal messages from individual humans. It's all there, compressed into something the size of a grain of sand. The implications were staggering. If Earth was destroyed, these drones wouldn't just rebuild human civilization. They would recreate it exactly down to the last detail. Every song, every story, every person who had submitted their genetic template. Death would not be the end. It's immortality, someone whispered. They've achieved immortality. Captain Chen's image suddenly reappeared on the screen. She had been listening. Not immortality, she corrected. Continuity. There's a difference. We would still die. Our world could still burn. But humanity itself, the idea of us, our culture, our dreams, that would go on. Captain Chen, the Ancient One addressed her. You've shown us the sword. But every sword can cut both ways. What prevents these drones from being used offensively? Chen smiled slightly. Would you like a demonstration? Before anyone could answer, she gave an order to someone off-screen. One of the newly built ships, constructed entirely by the drones, moved forward. It was approaching the Vorthak fleet. All ships prepare for combat. Admiral Thex commanded. Wait, Chen said quickly. Watch. The drone-built ship stopped exactly 1,000 kilometers from the nearest Vorthak vessel. Then it sent out a signal. Every drone in the swarm received it simultaneously. And they all turned to look at the Vorthak fleet. Billions of machines, each with sensors capable of tracking individual atoms, all focused on the alien ships. The effect was visceral. Every being in those ships, every member of the council watching through screens, felt the weight of that mechanical gaze. We see you, Chen said quietly. Every ship, every weapon, every weak point in your armor, every flaw in your shields. The drones are mapping you down to the molecular level. In the 43 seconds since they started watching, they've identified 17,000 ways to destroy your fleet. On the screens, data began to appear. Weak points in Vorthak armor, flaws in shield harmonics, vulnerable systems. Everything displayed in perfect detail. Impossible, Admiral Thex breathed. Our ships have the best defensive systems in the galaxy. Designed by biological minds with biological limitations, Chen replied. The swarm doesn't have those limitations. When a billion processors work on a problem together, they find solutions you never imagined. The drone-built ship fired a single beam. It was thin, no wider than a human finger, and it lasted less than a second. It struck the Vorthak flagship's shields at a precise angle, at a precise frequency. The shields, designed to withstand planet-cracking weapons, flickered and failed. How? Thex demanded. Your shields operate on harmonic frequencies, Chen explained. The swarm calculated the exact inverse frequency needed to cancel them out. One shot, no shield. Your ship is now defenseless. The Admiral started to give an order, but Chen interrupted. Don't worry, Admiral. We're not going to destroy you. That shot used most of the ship's power. It'll take hours to recharge, but imagine if all these drones started firing. billions of beams, each targeting a specific weakness. How long would your fleet last? 10 seconds, 5. She let the question hang in the air before continuing. But here's the thing, Admiral. The drones won't do that. They can't. They're not programmed for attack, only for construction and self-defense. The ship that fired on you? A human had to give that order. The drones themselves will never attack unless attacked first. To prove her point, Chen gave another order. The drone-built ship powered down its weapons and moved back. The swarm returned to its previous activity, ignoring the Vorthak fleet entirely. You've put a gun to the galaxy's head, Zekathai said accusingly. No, Chen replied. We've given the galaxy a reason to leave us alone. There's a difference. A gun can be taken away. A gun can be turned on its owner. But this, she gestured at the swarm. This is evolution. This is life finding a way to persist despite any threat. A new voice spoke up. It was the representative of the Silence, a race that rarely participated in council debates. Captain Chen, you spoke of packages sent out 2 years ago. How many? 17,431. Chen answered without hesitation. The number hit the assembly like a bomb. 17,000 dormant drones hidden throughout the galaxy, each capable of creating a swarm like the one they were watching. Where are they? Zekathai demanded. I don't know, Chen said simply. No human knows. The coordinates were randomized and then deleted. We couldn't tell you where they are even if we wanted to. They're scattered across 10 billion cubic light years, dormant, invisible, waiting. You've doomed us all, someone shouted. What if they malfunction? What if they activate by mistake? Chen's expression grew serious. They won't. Each drone runs the same check 1 million times per second. Is Earth still transmitting? Are humans still alive? The answer has to be no 1 billion times in a row before they even begin their activation sequence. And even then they wait another year, checking constantly for any sign of human life. She paused, then added quietly, We're very thorough when it comes to survival. The Ancient One moved closer to the screen. Captain Chen, what you've created is remarkable. Terrible, but remarkable. You've essentially made humanity unkillable. But what about the rest of us? What about our survival? Chen looked directly at the ancient being. That's up to you. Leave us alone and the drones stay dormant forever. Attack us and they activate. Try to find and destroy them and you might get some, maybe even most. But if even one survives, it can rebuild the entire swarm in days. She stood up from her chair. We didn't want this. We wanted to explore the stars peacefully. We wanted to meet other species, learn from them, share our culture. But you... She looked at Zekathai. You threatened to destroy us. You forced us to become something harder, something that can't be destroyed. On the screens, the demonstration swarm began to change. The drones were disassembling the ships they had built, breaking them down to base materials. Then they began disassembling themselves, each drone carefully taking apart its neighbors and scattering the materials back into space. 1 hour, as promised, Chen said. The demonstration is ending. Soon there will be no trace of what happened here except your memories and your sensor logs. The last drone dissolved into dust and space looked exactly as it had 4 hours ago. The asteroid field was gone. But the minerals were still there, floating as a cloud of particles. No evidence remained of the billions of machines that had just existed. No trace of the fleet they had built. It was as if the whole thing had been a dream, but it wasn't a dream, and everyone knew it. Zekathai stood in the center of the council chamber. His scales now a deep gray color that none of his species had ever seen him display before. It was the color of defeat, though he hadn't lost a battle. It was the color of fundamental change of a universe that no longer made sense. Computer, he said quietly. Calculate the expansion rate if all 17,000 drones activated simultaneously. The council's central computer, one of the most powerful calculating machines in known space, worked for several seconds. Then it displayed the results. The entire chamber gasped. Complete galactic coverage in 47 days, the computer announced, assuming standard resource availability and no resistance. 47 days, someone whispered. The entire galaxy, and if we resist? Admiral Thex asked. Resistance would provide additional materials, the computer responded. Estimated time to galactic coverage, 39 days. Captain Chen was still on the screen watching their reactions. She didn't look triumphant. She didn't look proud. She looked tired. We didn't want this, she said again. On Earth we have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. We wanted to speak softly. We wanted to use words, not threats. But you only respect the stick. The representative from the Harmonic Collective, beings who existed as living sound waves, resonated a question. What happens now, Captain Chen? Where do we go from here? That's up to you, Chen replied. We've shown you what we can do. Now you have to decide what you'll do with that knowledge. We could warn everyone, suggested a council member. Tell every species in the galaxy about the threat. And what would that accomplish? Chen asked. Would it make the drones disappear? Would it change the fact that attacking Earth means releasing them? Or would it just create panic? She was right, and they knew it. Knowledge of the drones wouldn't eliminate the threat. It would only spread fear. The Ancient One spoke again, its crystalline form pulsing with thought. Captain Chen, you've created what your people would call a Mexican standoff. Everyone has a weapon pointed at everyone else. Nobody can win. With respect, Ancient One, that's not quite right, Chen said. We don't have a weapon pointed at you. We have a weapon that only fires if we're destroyed. It's purely defensive. A defense that could destroy the galaxy. A galaxy that was already planning to destroy us, Chen countered. Don't pretend you're the victims here. The Vorthak Empire has obliterated 14 species in the last 1,000 years. The warrior caste has sterilized 6 planets. The Pure World Alliance conducts genocide as a matter of policy. You're not peaceful. You're just used to being the only ones with power. Her words stung because they were true. The Galactic Council had always been ruled by those with the biggest fleets and the most powerful weapons. Now suddenly, a single species with one cargo ship had made all those fleets irrelevant. Scifi finally found his voice again. You've made us all prisoners. We can't attack you, but we also can't trust you. How do we know you won't activate the drones anyway? How do we know you won't use them to conquer us? Chen sighed. Ambassador, if we wanted to conquer you, would we have shown you this demonstration? Would we have warned you? We could have just activated the drones and been done with it. In 47 days, the galaxy would be ours. But we didn't because that's not who we are. She pulled up a new display. It showed Earth blue and green and beautiful floating in space. This is all we want, she said. Our world, our home. We don't need your planets. We don't want your resources. We just want to live in peace. But you've made that impossible. Thek shouted. How can there be peace when you hold such a weapon? The same way there was peace on Earth after we developed nuclear weapons, Chen replied. Carefully. With respect. With the understanding that some lines can't be crossed. She turned to address the entire council. Every species here has weapons that can destroy planets. You've had them for centuries, some of you for millennia. We've just developed a weapon you can't defend against. That's what really frightens you. Not that we have power, but that your power can't stop ours. The truth of her words rippled through the chamber. They were afraid not of destruction, but of helplessness. They had always been the strong ones, the advanced ones. The ones who decided the fate of younger species. Now a young species had turned the tables. Navigator Prill, who had been quietly working at her station, suddenly made a sound of alarm. All 6 of her eyes went wide. Lord Zekthai, I'm detecting something. Energy signatures throughout the galaxy. They're everywhere. What? What are you detecting? The dormant drones. They're pinging. Just for a microsecond each, but they're sending out signals. The entire chamber erupted in panic. Representatives were shouting, demanding answers, some calling for their fleets to prepare for combat. Captain Chen raised her hand for silence. It's just a status check. They do it once every 24 hours. A quick ping to confirm Earth is still there, then they go silent again. You can track them? Zekthai asked urgently. For about a microsecond, yes. Then they shift position randomly and go dark again. By the time you could get a ship to where one was, it would be hundreds of light years away. Prill was working furiously at her console. I'm counting the pings. There are... Lord, she was telling the truth. 17,431 separate signals. They're really out there. The map appeared on the main screen. For just a moment, 17,000 red dots appeared across the galaxy. They were everywhere. In the void between stars. Hidden in nebulae, drifting in the cosmic dark. Some were terrifyingly close to major worlds. Others were in places no one would ever think to look. Then the dots disappeared and the map showed nothing. Every day, Chen said quietly. Every single day they check. Are we still alive? Is Earth still there? And every day, as long as the answer is yes, they stay asleep. A representative from the Merchant Guild stood up. This was unusual, as the merchants typically stayed out of military matters. Captain Chen, this situation is untenable for trade. How can commerce flow when such a threat exists? The same way it always has, Chen replied. Nothing has changed except your awareness. The drones were already out there yesterday. They'll be out there tomorrow. They don't interfere with shipping lanes or trade routes. They don't care about your commerce. They only care about one thing: Earth's survival. The Ancient One moved forward again. Captain Chen, you've made your point. But surely you understand that this knowledge will spread. Every species in the galaxy will know about the drones. Some will fear them. Some will try to find them. Some might even try to trigger them deliberately, to use them as a weapon against their enemies. Chen's expression darkened. Anyone who tries to trigger them will fail. The drones can't be hacked, can't be fooled, can't be tricked. They only respond to one signal: the complete cessation of Earth's quantum signature. And creating a false negative would require destroying Earth anyway, so what would be the point? But the fear is your problem, not ours, Chen interrupted. We lived with the fear of annihilation for years while you sent your threats. Now you can live with it too? She stood up, preparing to end the transmission. The Persistence will remain here for 1 more hour. If you want to discuss terms, if you want to establish peaceful relations, we're ready to talk. But if you're still thinking about threats and ultimatums, remember what you saw today. The screen split, showing Captain Chen on one side, and a replay of the drone swarm at its peak on the other. Billions of machines turning asteroids into fleets in hours. One ship, Chen said. We sent one ship because one ship was all we needed. Not to defeat you, but to show you that defeating us is impossible. You can kill us, but you can't stop us. You can destroy our world, but you can't destroy our future. She paused at the door of her bridge, looking back one more time. Your move, Ambassador. The transmission held for another moment, showing the human captains retreating back. Then it cut to an external view of the Persistence, small and alone among 10,000 warships. But now that small ship seemed like the most dangerous thing in space. Because everyone knew what it represented. It represented a species that had looked at extinction and said no. It represented a people who had turned the ultimate weapon into the ultimate insurance policy. It represented the end of the old order and the beginning of something new. In the council chamber, 300 species sat in silence, each thinking the same thought. The humans had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere in the dark between the stars, 17,000 dormant drones drifted silently, patiently, eternally ready to ensure that humanity would never truly die. The hour passed in heated debate. The Galactic Council had never been so divided. Some members called for immediate surrender to human demands, though the humans had made no demands. Others wanted to search for and destroy every dormant drone, though they knew it was impossible. Still others suggested quarantining Earth, building a barrier around the entire solar system, as if walls could stop an idea whose time had come. Ambassador Zekthai stood silent through it all, his scales slowly shifting through colors as his mind worked. He was thinking about empires, about power, about the nature of strength itself. The Vorthak Empire had ruled through fear for 3,000 years. Now they knew what it felt like to be afraid. Finally, he spoke. Bring Captain Chen back. I wish to speak with her. The communication channel opened again. Chen appeared on the screen, still on her bridge, still calm. She had been waiting. Captain, Zekthai began formally, I am authorized to speak for the Vorthak Empire, and in this matter for the Galactic Council itself. We need to discuss terms. I'm listening, Chen said simply. First, I need to know something. The dormant drones, can they truly not be recalled? No, that was the point. If we could recall them, someone could force us to recall them. The only way to make them truly secure was to make them completely autonomous. And if Earth is destroyed by natural disaster? A solar flare, an asteroid impact, something not caused by us? Chen's expression softened slightly. We've thought of that. Earth broadcasts a specific quantum signature, updated every nanosecond with encrypted data about our status. The drones can tell the difference between natural destruction and an attack. If Earth dies naturally, the drones activate slowly over years, giving any surviving humans time to broadcast a stand-down signal. And if there are no survivors? Then humanity gets a second chance on 17,000 new worlds. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just created a weapon, they had created a guarantee of immortality for their entire species. Admiral Thek stepped forward. This is unacceptable. No single species should have this power. No single species should face extinction either, Chen countered. Yet that's exactly what you threatened us with. That was different, Thex said, though his voice lacked conviction. Was it? You were going to wipe out 6 billion humans, our entire civilization gone because we wouldn't bow to your empire? How is that different? The Admiral had no answer. Zekthai raised one of his forearms. Captain Chen, we need to find a way forward. A way that ensures peace for everyone. That's simple, Chen said. Recognize Earth's sovereignty. Grant us full membership in the Galactic Council. Trade with us as equals, not subjects. Leave us in peace. And the drones? The drones remain. They're not negotiable. Several council members started to protest, but Chen continued. Think of them as our nuclear deterrent. Every major power in the galaxy has planet-killing weapons. Now we do too. The only difference is that ours work after we're dead. The Ancient One moved forward again, its crystalline body humming with energy. Captain Chen, what you're asking for is reasonable. But you must understand the fear you've created. Some species will see humanity as an existential threat. They might act irrationally. Then they'll trigger the very thing they fear, Chen said bluntly. That's not our problem to solve. It could be everyone's problem if the drones activate. Chen sighed and pulled up another display. This one showed a complex mathematical model. This is our projection for drone behavior if activated, she explained. They're not programmed to consume everything. They're programmed to rebuild human civilization. Once they've terraformed enough worlds, once they've recreated our population, they stop. They don't keep spreading infinitely. How many worlds? Someone asked. About 300,000, one for every 100 humans who ever lived. It sounds like a lot, but the galaxy has 400 billion stars. We'd use less than 1% of available systems and only dead ones at that. You've planned for everything, Zekthai said. It wasn't a question. We had to. When you're facing extinction, you don't get second chances. A long silence fell over the chamber. Finally, Zekthai made a decision that would echo through history. The Vorthak Empire formally withdraws all claims on Earth and its people, he announced. His scales shifted to deep blue, the color of formal declaration. We recognize humanity's sovereignty and support their application for full council membership. The chamber erupted. Some representatives cheered, others protested, but the momentum had shifted. One by one, other species began to voice their agreement. The warrior caste withdrew their threats. The Pure World Alliance acknowledged Earth's independence. Even the Merchant Guild, seeing opportunity in trade with a species that could build so efficiently, offered their support. Captain Chen watched it all with no visible emotion. But those on her bridge later reported that she had tears in her eyes. There's one more thing, Chen said when the voting was complete, and Earth had been granted provisional membership. A gesture of good faith. She transmitted a new set of coordinates. These are the locations of 17 medical research stations we're building. Each one will be in neutral space, staffed jointly by humans and other species. We want to share our medical technology, our genetics research, our understanding of life. Why? Zekthai asked, genuinely confused. We just threatened to destroy you. Because that's what humans do, Chen replied. We survive, yes. But we also hope. We dream, we build, we forgive. The drones are our stick, but we'd rather offer carrots. She pulled up one final image. It showed children, human children, playing in a park on Earth. They were laughing, running, completely unaware of the cosmic drama that had just unfolded. This is what we're protecting, Chen said softly. Not just our lives, but our future. Our chance to grow, to learn, to become better than we are. The drones ensure we'll survive. But survival alone isn't enough. We want to thrive. We want to explore. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. The Ancient One spoke one last time. Captain Chen, your species has shown us something remarkable today. You've shown us that the smallest stone can create the largest ripples, that one ship, carrying the right message, can change the course of galactic history. Thank you, Ancient One. But we didn't change history. We just refused to let history end us. As the Persistence prepared to leave, Captain Chen sent one final transmission to the assembled fleet. 47 of your days ago, when you sent your ultimatum, our leaders met. They asked every scientist, every engineer, every philosopher a simple question. How do we survive this? The drones were our answer. But they also asked another question. What happens after we survive? She paused, making sure she had everyone's attention. The answer to that question is up to all of us. We can live in fear of each other, or we can live in peace. We can focus on our weapons, or we can focus on our dreams. We can be enemies, or we can be neighbors. The choice, as always, is ours. The Persistence turned slowly, its cargo bay now empty of drones but full of hope. It began to move away from the assembled fleets back toward Earth. Oh, Chen added, almost as an afterthought, I should mention one thing. The demonstration you saw today? That was the Mark III version of our drones. We're already working on Mark VII. The transmission ended before anyone could respond to that terrifying piece of information. As the human ship departed, Navigator Prill conducted one last scan. She found something that made all 6 of her eyes blink in surprise. Lord Zekthai, she said quietly. The Persistence. It's not alone. What do you mean? I'm detecting gravitational anomalies. Cloaked ships. At least 900 human vessels hiding in hyperspace waiting. Zekthai's scales went through every color at once. They said they sent one ship. No, the Ancient One corrected, a sound like crystalline laughter in its voice. They let us see one ship. There's a difference. The implication sank in slowly. The humans had sent 1,000 ships, but they had only revealed one because one was all they needed to make their point. The others had been waiting, ready to deploy their own drone swarms if negotiations had gone badly. Humanity hadn't just created an ultimate defense. They had created multiple ultimate defenses, layers upon layers of survival strategies. Captain Chen's final message arrived just as the Persistence entered hyperspace. Welcome to the New Age, Ambassador. An age where extinction is no longer possible for any species willing to do what it takes to survive. We humans have a saying, may you live in interesting times. I think times are about to get very interesting indeed. The 1,000 human ships vanished into hyperspace simultaneously, leaving the Galactic Council fleet alone in empty space. 10,000 warships, suddenly feeling very small and very obsolete. In the council chamber, representatives from 300 species sat in stunned silence, each processing what they had witnessed. The galaxy had changed in 4 hours. The old order, based on fleet strength and firepower, was over. A new order had begun, one where survival trumped destruction, where the smallest species could stand equal to the largest empire. And somewhere in the vast dark between the stars, 17,000 dormant drones continued their eternal drift, patient and ready, ensuring that humanity would never face extinction again. The age of empires was over. The age of survival had begun.